make sure we got sound. We do. Cool. And let's go there. One sec, yon. Okay, to LinkedIn. Hopefully everyone's having a good week. Okay. Go there. Then we go set up and then go there. Go, hello, the one person that just tuned in. Give me a second, I am setting up, but we are just about to get into it, so please bear with me. Okay, I think we're just about there. I think. Yep. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, I think that's it. Let's move this chat over, overlay it, captions, graphics. Oh, stop it, look at that. And I think that's it. Hello everyone. Junior here from My Online Guy. And it's Friday, Frothy Friday, so cheers to everyone that's had a long week. It's been a big week here at My Online Guy Labs. We had our talk this week. If you hadn't had a chance, make sure you get over and have a look at it. It's in our live feed. Will, come over here for a second. I want to introduce you to everyone. So this is Will.
Hello everyone.
Will is just started with us yesterday, and he's cutting up a video from the day. You know, doing a bit of chop, Uncle Chop.
Chop.
So he's tuning in and doing the cut. So I just wanted to introduce you, everyone.
Nice to meet you, everyone.
There you go. So go back to work. So yeah. Big week this week. Couldn't tee up a SEO site to do an audit on today. And quite frankly, I wanted to do just something a little bit different this week. So what we're going to do is actually do, something a little bit different. I'm going to go into Google itself and look at what some of the people say in regards to, burning questions in regards to SEO questions. So we're going to look at marketing questions that people have typed into Google, their related questions, and we're just going to answer a few. Because if people are asking it on Google, there's a good chance you've asked it yourself. So we can make sure that we can help a lot of people with those kind of quick answers. So just close that out. Okay, so I think the best way to do that is if I go and share my screen, put this up here. Actually, I'm going to put you over here for a minute. If you're watching, make sure you say hello, because I'd love to hear from you. Just share my screen for a sec. Let's close all this down and just open up a naked, no, actually, that's the wrong word. Let's open up a window here. Okay, so we should be able to see my screen. Let's go over the top like that. And yeah, okay, let's have a look at Uncle Google here for a second. Open up a new window. There we go. So, any requests for the first thing we search for in Google? Let's just type in SEO for a sec. Let's answer some SEO questions, eh? So I'm just going to go SEO, doing my keyword research. If we go, if we just type in what SEO means. Let's start there. Let's start with that. So what SEO means. It's a good question. Obviously, it's in our industry, you kind of take it for granted that everyone knows what SEO actually is. But there's a lot of people out there that actually don't really know what SEO is and what it stands for. Just because it's a reasonably new term. I think, from a trends perspective, it hasn't been around forever. And basically what SEO stands for is search engine optimization. And basically what we do as SEOs is we take the best practices that Google suggests in what's called a quality ratings guideline, which is a document that Google uses for manual reviewers to tell them what to look for on websites. So we take the best practices out of that as we interpret them as SEOs, which is the plural, like the person that does that, so search engine optimizer. We take those best practices, interpret them, and then make decisions on people's websites based around what we think Google wants to see. So we basically, like you optimize, you optimize for conversion rate, you optimize your business for productivity. You're optimizing your web assets to rank in search. Now, obviously, search engine optimization is really tied to Google, but there's Bing search engine optimization. There's, let me just make this bigger. There's Bing search engine optimization. There's DuckDuckGo search engine optimization. There's there's a plenty of search engines out there, but the one we focus on most is Google, because 80% of all traffic goes to Google sites. So people also ask, what is SEO and how it works? Good question. Sort of ties into what SEO is. So basically how it works, how search engines work, and specifically Google, because quite frankly, who cares about the other search engines, right? So like how search works in Google is, actually, I'm gonna send a link to the best video on the internet about how how search works. If I go to how search works, it was made by Google. It's an hour long, but it's really one of the best videos out there on it. I think it's called 1 Billion Searches. Let's have a look. Let's find that video for everyone. I'll have to look for that video, but it's one of the best videos I've ever seen about search. It was obviously made by Google. How search engines works, Google video. Let's see if that brings it up. Damn, it's not coming up. Anyway, so basically, what is search and how it works? Basically, what Google does is it creates an index of the whole internet according to Google. So any web page you create on the internet has been crawled by what's called a spider, which is effectively just a bit of code that like cruises through the internet, following links around, goes to a page, and then like crawls it to find out what it's about, its context. So from there, what it does, it makes an index of a site and puts it in what's called a knowledge graph. Now, the knowledge graph is actually the secret sauce of Google. Every website on the internet has a knowledge graph profile about it. It's called a document, is the actual technical, well, the knowledge graph is that on the right-hand side, but the technical term is every website on the internet has a document created on it, and it's something that Google has like patented. So anyway, it takes all the information about how it works. It takes all the information about your website and basically goes, okay, well, we're going to categorize it as this. They do this. They sell these kinds of widgets. They do this. Whatever. Like it basically just takes a document and goes, this is what this website's about. So what it then does, it goes, okay, well, you're a new website. We haven't seen you before, so we're going to put you in the search because obviously someone may still be looking for you. But we're going to put you really low in the search because we don't trust you. You don't have any authority yet. You haven't proven yourself, so we'll put you there. And so Google does that to every website on the internet. And basically, you go and type in, so let's say, for instance, SEO Mandra. So Google then has data centers all over the world. So that query then goes to a data center, which has, different searches that are tied to different sets of documents. So it goes, okay, well, go to the shelf that talks about SEO Mandra, pull up the search engine rankings for those. It displays them, you pick your search. Now, what SEO does is it helps give Google the expertise, authority, and trust signals to go, okay, well, I've got you in this spot, but, I see that, this website on the internet's linking to you, or, you got this person mentioning you. I'm going to try you in a different spot and see how the search reacts to that change and how people react to that change. Because the fundamental goal of Google is to actually just serve the best result, because they know that if they continually serve you the best result you're looking for, there's a good chance you're going to click an ad in the future and they're going to be able to charge a business. That's their prerogative. So, that's how they work. They know that the better the results are, the more chance you're going to have of looking at a search result in the future. And it just is basically just a index of all the web pages on the internet ranked from 1 to infinite. And then you use SEO to change where you sit in those rankings. What is SEO and business? Well, same deal. SEO for business, SEO for how to cook a potato. They're exactly the same thing. It's you optimize for the search engine, so search engine optimization. Is SEO easy? That's actually a question I get asked sporadically, but it's a valid question. You'll hear a lot of people in this industry say, well, it's easy to rank. It's easy to rank this because it's not competitive. So it really depends on what you're searching for. Some things are easier to rank for than other things because there's no competition. So like if you have a really obscure product that there's not many companies in the world that do it, Google still needs to serve a result, and it still needs to serve a lot of results, because you may just randomly as a searcher click on the 20th page and you expect to see a result. So even if your product is brand new, you'll still end up in the search. It generally takes about 6 months. You'll still end up in the search, right? So it's actually very dependent on the competitiveness of the search you're trying to search for. Let's say, for instance, if you're a lawyer, well, there's probably a lot of lawyers in the space because there's so much money in it that have paid someone like myself to go and optimize for themselves. So, but like the fundamental principles of SEO are actually quite simple. And I think people don't appreciate how simple SEO actually is. The fundamental goal is to prove your authority and prove why you should be number one in the terms of like user experience, in the terms of just having good content and everything like that. If you produce good content and you follow the Google Webmaster Guidelines, you're almost 100% certain to rank number one. It's that simple. Now, there's 200 different things in that search, in that algorithm that will really affect it. So it's not as simple as saying, just follow it to a T, because some of them contradict themselves. But there's no secret to SEO. It's not some dark magic done in dark alleyways that, only the most highly skilled people in the world can do. It's really quite simple to learn the principles. The execution is a little bit more difficult, but to learn the principles of SEO, anyone can do it, honestly. What you pay for is paying for someone that does it well and does it properly. The same way look, it's not hard to paint a house technically, but you pay a painter to do it because they do it faster, they do it more professionally, they get a better finish. It's the same as this. Anyone can do SEO for themselves, but doesn't mean they do a fantastic job of it and they do it to a super high standard. That's subjective. So I think, anyone that tells you that SEO is like fundamentally not a simple thing is lying to you. But also to keep in mind that it's not as simple as people think to execute on. So that's answer that question. A bit long-winded, but that's okay. Is SEO a good career? Oh, that's a really good question, actually. Yeah, I think so. I think not even SEO itself. I think SEO is actually not that good a career because it's full of cowboys. So for context, I spend the first 20 minutes of every conversation I have convincing a business owner that SEO is not a scam. And it's disappointing that I have to do that because, anyone that does SEO professionally and does it well knows that it works in pretty much all situations, with a big asterisk next to that. There'll obviously be exceptions to that. But I think why SEO is a good career path is because it teaches you to be able to make decisions on incomplete information. So what I mean by that is there's very few. So like this Google Webmasters Guidelines, the best way I like to explain it to people is that, fundamentally, in religion, there's like like the Bible, right? The Catholics, Christians, Baptists, they're all just different interpretations of one book. So like that's all SEO is. If you think of different SEOs and their different approaches, it's just their interpretation of their book. You can think of like the way people work as like different little religions. So you got like the white hat guys that believe in just doing everything above board and exactly to the guidelines. You got grey hat guys that believe on doing, they sort of skirt the lines of, they just like manipulate the interpretation of stuff in the book. So it's still technically legal, not against terms of service of Google, but it may not, it depends on who's looking at it. They may turn around and go, well, actually that's, and then you got black hat people that hack sites and rank things that way. So it's just the interpretation of that, right? So is it a good career? It's a good career if you enjoy solving complex problems. Is it a career that I think will be around in 10 years? I don't know. I'm gonna say not. I'm gonna say that in 10 years SEO won't be the same as what I'm doing now for sure. And there'll probably be automation that will do it. But what it teaches you to be able to do is I can do SEO, but I also taught myself how to do Google ads, Facebook ads, web design, everything else off SEO, because the skill set you learn in SEO teaches you to be able to do a whole bunch of other technical stuff, because the processes and everything like that, working with incomplete information, is basically how any marketing is kind of done. So I think it's a good career path. I don't think it's going to be a career path that's around forever, but I think it's an easily transferable skill set to a different career path. The problem with SEO as a career though is you're kind of only as good as you are as, like I said to you, I don't think SEO is necessarily that hard, but you're only as good as your ability to explain it to people. Because to be able to get paid to do SEO, you've got to be able to really explain the value of it. And if you can do that well, there's plenty of money in SEO. And the people that can't do that well, even though they may be better SEOs technically than me, maybe don't pick up as much work because they can't explain what they do to businesses and they can't see the value, can't get the money justified to do the work. So I would suggest that if anyone's looking at getting into SEO, you need to be good at communicating, because there's so many jokers that do this that don't communicate, and businesses have just been burnt so many times that they're initially skeptical. So you need to be able to really explain why you provide value. Guys, don't forget to ask questions. We've got our little chat bar on the right hand side here. Got 14 in here. Hello to everyone that just joined us. Basically today, we're just going to go through questions that people have about SEO and marketing and stuff in Google, because generally if they're in Google, someone's asked them. So you probably have the same questions if you're interested. So how can I learn SEO at home? Well, I taught myself at home. There's no SEO, there's no formal SEO degree, right? This is the thing with SEO. And I would encourage just about anyone to just get on YouTube and learn SEO. Now, I've done plenty of courses and I've done some very expensive courses, but to be completely transparent, there's only one or two that I would actually turn around and recommend to people. The single best way to learn SEO, in my opinion, and this is a little Jimmy secret, I tell my people in the office here, look at the tools that we use as the tools in the industry. So like Ahrefs, for instance, right? This is a tool that is used in the industry. This is how I actually taught myself SEO initially. See the tool? If you download a trial version of this, the tool, and I'm just going to log in quickly, the tool itself, password's not correct. Anyway, if you log into there, the tool itself has a sidebar with all the different tools that are in Ahrefs. The single best way to learn SEO is to look at those things that are in these tools, because they're in there for a reason. So look at those things that are in these tools and then just YouTube what they mean. Honestly, it's like the best way to learn, because those tools are there for a reason. And so like you see referring domains, you don't know what it means. Google, if I was to YouTube referring domains now, there'd be 100 good videos on it. What is a referring domain? So if you did that for the whole tool, so you get, look at this, backlinks versus referring domains. So there's There's Ahrefs' actual video on checking referring domains. If you just did that for the whole tool, you would learn SEO. Now, would you be able to execute on it? That takes experience, but you would like actually have a very, very good understanding of SEO, and probably better than like 95% of the SEOs out there if you just looked at the tools that exist in the market and then just YouTubed what they did, the little sections of them. That's how I would learn how to do SEO again. I think it's the most efficient way of doing it. And then you just need to practice on something. Start a blog, rank it. Start a business, rank it, and then sell that business to another business. There's so many models that can benefit from SEO, and you can just use them as test beds, because I think a lot of people in this space are perpetual learners, but they don't actually want to start anything. Like, they don't want to test it. They just like think, oh, I've got to do course after course after course, but I'm not confident to do a client's work. And a lot of that comes from the fact that they haven't worked on anything themselves. So I would suggest go on tools like Ahrefs, Moz, SEMrush. Look at all the stuff on the left-hand side and the sidebar. Start Googling what that stuff is. Start taking notes. Like, fill your knowledge. So like treat it as a knowledge gap, because like I said, those are in there explicitly because they're useful tools for SEO. So if it's worth learning it, if it's in there. How much do SEOs earn? Whoa. That's a tough question to answer. I know what I earn, and I don't earn very much, just because like a lot of our money goes back into the agency. There'd be a lot of people. There's people on minimum wage that earn more than I do, but it looks like here the average SEO salary in India is 237,000 rupiah. So let's Google what that is. 202 US dollar. Oh wow! So the average SEO in India earns 3,200 a year. Okay. Well, okay. So we got a question. First question here: SEO and eBay. What do you recommend? SEO and eBay. So doing SEO for eBay. SEO and eBay. I don't think those. Okay. So how to optimize for the search results of eBay? That's a good question. I've never actually explored that, to be honest. I know it will be an algorithm. Let's Google that for a sec, because I'm curious to. Actually, I'll leave that search up because that's a good one. SEO, eBay. I'll just catch the bus home, eh? Yep. So I've never actually looked that up. I might do a bit of research on that. I love looking up different ways to execute on what we have, like what we know. I'm going to do a bit of research on your behalf. I think I know who's asked that question. I'm going to do a bit of research on this because I'm actually genuinely interested, but it'll probably take longer than what is done here. Actually, you know what? I will show you how I would learn how to do SEO on eBay. So the first thing I would do, SEO eBay, best practices, 2020, or like it should automatically show me the 2021s, but let's have a look here. So what I would do is I'd open a notepad. So I'll just open a notepad because I'll do this after the fact, but basically, okay, so we don't care about the listing rules. Actually, I suppose we do. So let's have a look at here. No, see, that's all contextual stuff. We want actual. Okay, so that looks like it could be a good article. So let's have a look at this for a sec. Structured data for eBay search. Okay, so key to getting eBay products is structured data, good title with an easy read. So like, I'm just going to copy this bit. And we're just going to throw that into here because what I'm going to look for is things to search. Okay, so there's tools. So we have a Fruition listing tool which presents most search terms. Okay, so it's a little bit like YouTube. So you can actually optimize. So like, okay, so the difference between Google search and eBay straight away, this operates a little bit more like YouTube does in that fact that you have, so Google has one parameter, which is basically the search query. YouTube has several parameters that can that people look for when looking for a video, length of it, description, title, things like that. It's the same as SEO, but it looks like here, if we just look at this photo, you can see that there's specific things that Google, so like what we're trying to determine now is what things eBay is actually looking for in search results. So I'm going to do SEO eBay search result breakdown, right? So we want to learn what eBay actually looks for. Here we go. So let's have a look at this article. All right, so the difference between eBay SEO and Google SEO. SEO stands for, we've discussed that. And if you ever had to do anything with blogging or online marketing, you know the importance of it. eBay has given a name to its own search engine. So like Cassini, okay, cool. We got the name of it. So we're going to put that in our list. So I'm just looking for interesting things. So they've given a name to it. And this version of Cassini does just remarkable things when you know what to do with it. So eBay and Cassini's relationship with SEO is similar to Google in many ways. In both cases, a search will show up multiple versions of the same product and it will give you duplicate content. Searches for a product on eBay and the result will be multiple listings to the same products. Just like Google, more than one of the same result. Yeah, obviously. This is what makes eBay SEO very different to Amazon. A search on Amazon will ideally not give you a duplicate content. So that is to say each result is a link to one listing. That listing may have multiple sellers, as you can see below. So to stand out from all our listings on eBay for products just like yours, it's important to tweak your listings to keep Cassini happy. And to stand out in eBay search results, you need to use eBay SEO. But before we start learning it, let's, okay, so what Cassini wants, the first thing is not just stuffing keywords. Keywords play a big role. So it wants keywords. So it uses keyword relevance, like contextual keyword relevance. That's pretty straightforward. So it looks, okay, so to do this, Cassini looks for 4 very specific product features, product titles, item specific, eBay categories, and catalog listings. eBay's Cassini search engine looks for a wide range of seller specific things to give high ranking preferences to sellers who provide value, shoppers that can only trust. Okay, so this is what I would, so from here, what I would actually do is start to do a bit of research on Cassini itself, try and break down what it does. So, okay, so this is doing keyword research. So as you can see, a long tail keyword simply, so for those who don't know, a long tail keyword is basically this. So the keyword is rubber boots. Long tail is for kids, for adults, rubber boots that fit a size 4 boot. They're all long tail keywords. They're basically just a tail on the end of the keyword itself. And the longer tail, you know, you can have long tails and short tails, but for most, it's long tail. So in the moment okay, so sell rubber boots, long tail versions maybe, yeah, okay, that's cool. In a moment, we'll show you how to find the best. Okay, so using LSI, okay, that's cool. Right, okay, so it works like Google, it works a little bit like how YouTube works actually. And then it goes into how to actually do it. So this could be a good article to read about it. This obviously is a tool that does this for you, is my guess, but it's fine. But yeah, really great comment. So from here, I would learn a lot more about Cassini, Cassellini, or whatever it's called. Yeah, Cassini, I would learn a lot more about that. And I would start to break down what makes Cassini tick as best we can. And then I would test some, I would do, like if I was going to do this properly and I had a store, I would split test some products against same products to see if it makes a difference. So just evidence-based research and to work out if we can do this stuff and it will tip the needle. So the last thing I'm going to Google is like how long does it take to rank in Valorant? Okay, in eBay. So I'm going to look, because if I'm going to run split tests in eBay, I need to know how long they're going to go for. So anyway, so you would like look at the eBay search. Okay, Inkfrog, you're it. Okay, price your items competitively, tight, rich, title rich. Yep. Okay. That didn't really help us, but that was a bit of a catfish article. Google, not happy with that article. But yeah, that's what I would do, guys. Like if I had an eBay store, you know, I think if you're serious about something, you should take the time to learn what makes it tick. It's like anything, you know, like if you're a car yard, it's probably nice to know how to have a good understanding of how cars work. If you're an eBay seller, it's probably good to have a good understanding about how eBay works. Because if that's your platform, like you need to know it better than your competition, or they'll just beat you. So I think it's important to, if you're going to work on a platform, even Facebook, like if you're a business and most of your traffic comes from Facebook, it's probably good to learn how Facebook works and the algorithm works so you can optimize for it. Because fundamentally, if your competition's doing it better than you, eventually they'll beat you. And the only way you can do it better than your competition is by having a better understanding of it than your competition. So that's a thing. How do you get your first job at SEO? I suppose that's supposed to be in SEO. Yeah, okay. So how do you get your first job at SEO? It's such a terrible, that must have been written by an Indian, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so let's go here. What I'm gonna do, right, is I'm gonna put these as captions. So I'm gonna test this. And then we should be able to go, there we go. Okay, so how do you get your first job in SEO? Good question. I mean, my path was a little bit different because I kind of just worked on my own stuff for a very long time. But like, let's say for instance, I was wanting to get into SEO and I had no experience. The first thing I would be doing is building my own stuff. There's so many things you can start that cost pretty much nothing to start that can really prove your nous in SEO. Learn the terms. SEO, one of the hard things about SEO is that you're basically learning a whole nother language. There's so many terms and phrases and things that you can kind of, if you're in the industry, you can kind of pick someone that doesn't really know that much about it because they'll use terms in the wrong context or whatever, and it's easy to pick. So I'd really take the time and effort to learn. So like if a young kid walked in here right now and said, I wanted to learn SEO, I'd be like, oh, that's awesome, man. Well, this is what I would do, start your business. And then, once you know a little bit, come back and we'll see what we can do. It's too hard to teach someone because there's so many nuances. It's hard to teach someone that has no background in SEO. You've got to have some kind of like very, very, even if it's very low level, understanding of just the concept of search engine optimization. So from there, let's say, for instance, you've been working on your own website. You can't really get them to rank well, and that's why you want to learn SEO, but you decide it's your career. So the next thing I would be doing is I'd be going on to meetup.com and start going to SEO meetups and digital marketing meetups and business meetups and things like that. Try and network with agencies, like, because the thing is, right, I know that if I decided to shut down my online guy, I could get a job with any other agency in this country just because of my network. So I know everyone knows me, I know everyone else, they know what I can and can't do. So I could just walk into Prosperity Media over in Norquay and go, hey, James, I need a job, mate. Do you need a gun SEO? Yep, welcome aboard, here's $100,000 a year or whatever, So I think building your network, what do they say? Your network is your net worth. I truly believe that. So like I would be just hanging around the space, make sure it's something that you want to pursue as a career. And then I would be offering my services to an agency at no cost. I would just be like, oh, look, I really want to get in this industry. I know it's a bit of a risk for you taking on someone with no experience. How about I work for a couple of weeks for free, show you what I can do, and then hopefully I can learn from you. In worst case scenarios, I learn a bit off you. That's worth it to me. You do that and you show what you're worth to someone. If they can see potential in you, you're almost guaranteed a job in SEO because there's so few good people that do it, that people that even show inklings of brilliance are worth investing time, energy, and effort into. So that's the way I would look at it. If some kid went in here and went, oh, look, Jimmy, I met you at this networking event. You probably don't remember me, but I've just been trying to teach myself SEO. I'm just struggling with it. I love it though. I really enjoy it. I've got my own websites and stuff, but I just can't get them to rank. Do you reckon I can just come hang around at the agency for a week or two just to, I just want to experience it and see if it's what I want to do and stuff? I'd be like, dude, come at it. I've got a PC here. Just come and, and I'll teach you everything I know if you're interested in learning. Come here, do a couple of weeks, make yourself invaluable, and they'd be like, well, I can't have you leaving now. You're doing too much, doing too much of the menial work. So that's how I would go about doing it if I was trying to get a job in SEO. Is SEO hard to learn? No, it's not if you're invested in it. How can I learn SEO fast? Don't know. Good question, actually. How can I learn SEO fast? If your brain is wired to learn SEO, you will learn it fast. For context, I learned SEO. It took me about 8 months to learn SEO. It's taken me a long time to master it and get good to a point where I can sell my services. But it's not hard to learn SEO. Honestly, if you just followed the webmaster guidelines, looked at tools and learned how everything is, you would learn SEO. And it's just how quickly you can read and interpret data. But does that make you a good SEO? Probably not. It's like doing an apprenticeship. If you're an apprentice electrician, the first 4 years of your apprenticeship is just to make sure you don't die. You know how to handle electricity, the basic rules. You learn everything else on the job, doing the actual work. It's the same with SEO. So yeah, you can learn SEO really quick. Doesn't mean you'll be good at it? No. How does SEO work step by step? No, we're not answering that question. Damn, that's a 2-hour video in itself. All right, does SEO have a future? I get asked this a lot. This is a question, and it's a philosophical question that I ask myself because, it's important if you've got people's livelihoods as your responsibility. We got 5 of us in the office here now. Their livelihoods are my responsibility, and SEO is a big part of our business. Does SEO have a future? Definitely. Is it going to be what we do now? Definitely not. Is it going to be SEO in the traditional sense? Probably not. But there's always going to be a search engine. There's always going to be people asking questions, right? This is the thing, there's always going to be people asking how something works, how this works, how that works. And there's always going to be an engine that drives those question answer responses. Whether it's voice, whether it's VR, whether it's AI, there's something that's always going to be driving those question answer responses because humans are naturally curious beings. There's a reason why, Encyclopedia Britannicas before the internet, every house had one. It's because humans are naturally, how many times are you just sitting around going, I wonder what this plastic lizard's made of? And you're like, what do they make plastic lizards out of? People are just naturally curious beings. And because of that, there's got to be something in the human culture that can answer questions. And it's evolved over time. It used to be like oracles and shamans and stuff like that. They were that. And then, it was, through the ages, it was monks and monasteries that held the education. It was then, Industrial Revolution. It was universities and stuff that held these answers to these questions. But humans have been asking questions since the beginning of time. And I think people forget that. And so when people tell me, will SEO exist? It's of course it will. Will it exist in the form that we do it? Probably not. But it doesn't mean that the fundamental question and answer cycle of a human will not exist anymore. So, I'm excited about it. I know people think, they shudder at an update, and I do too. I break in sweats when I hear Google's updated the algorithm. But all it's doing is doing a better job of answering questions. And, if you treat search as that it's just a question answer machine, and your job as an SEO and your job as a business is to provide answers to questions better than your competitors. And if that answer to that question is plumbers and Mandra, and your answer is better than the other person's answer, because that, if you actually break that down, someone might type in Mandra plumbers, but they're actually typing, I need a plumber in Mandra. It's a question, give me a list, or the question is, give me a list of the plumbers in Mandra so I can pick one. That's the question. The response is the search result. So I think if you think about it like that, it's going to exist in some form. And I think this is where professional SEOs separate themselves from SEOs that are just trying to make money, is that we'll just you kind of just want to be in front of the wave of that technology change so that you can adapt to it when it comes. So yeah, I don't think we'll be doing SEO the way we do it, but I still think we'll be doing some kind of search engine, Q&A engine optimization, because, there's got to be ways to make your answer better than others. Otherwise, that's because otherwise everyone's opinions. How do you decide who to listen to? How long does it take to learn SEO? Well, 1 to 3 months. That's probably a bit of an optimistic time frame, but anyway, let's put that question up. So how long does it take to learn SEO? It says here it takes 1 to 3 months to learn basics of SEO. The basics of SEO can be understood within 3 months. However, the more advanced concepts take anywhere 6 to 18 months. I actually think it's somewhere in between. I think you can solidly learn SEO to the point where you can commercialize it in like 8 to 12 months. To the point where you're like safe enough to work on something that's not yours. How long do I think it takes to get good at SEO to the point where you're ranking consistently, multiple sites consistently? Years, like 2-3 years, depending on how many sites you work on and get exposure to. So like that's my answer to that question. What is better, SEO or digital marketing? Well, that's a bit of a loaded question because SEO is a form of digital marketing. Let me put that in here. So the question is, what is better, SEO or digital marketing? Well, digital marketing is an umbrella term for any kind of marketing that's done digitally. So SEO is a form of digital marketing. What is better, SEO or Google Ads is probably a better question, or SEO or Facebook ads, because you're talking about a tactic versus a strategy. So digital marketing is a strategy. SEO is a tactic of that strategy. So I don't think it's the right question to ask, but I personally think SEO is one of the most cost-effective digital marketing tactics you can possibly do, depending on how it's executed. The thing with SEO, it scares people off, is it has a large upfront cost. But when you're comparing that to Google, say something like Google Ads or Facebook ads, that gets an almost instant return on investment. But where SEO outshines pretty much anything else is once you are ranking consistently for stuff and generating inquiries, the cost of acquisition of each one of those inquiries goes down progressively the longer you stay in those rankings. So, you could be ranking for Plumber Mandra and it might have cost you 20 grand to get to that position, but you could be there for 6 months generating 60 leads a month. Each one of those leads that you generate lowers the cost per acquisition. It's one of the few marketing tactics where the cost per acquisition goes down the longer you do it. So like as a long-term investment, it's one of the best investments you can make as Google is currently. But it's a big upfront cost and a lot of businesses can't wear that cost, I understand. I think it's one of the most cost-effective strategies, but you've just got to have a lot of faith in the person you're working with because you generally don't start to see results till like 10, 12 months down the line. What is the qualification for SEO job? Actually, I'm going to answer this. I thought it was a bit of a dumb question, but actually it will help people out. Don't think about it as a qualification. Think about it, what characteristics make a good SEO? So I think a person that is really good at solving complex problems eloquently will do really well in SEO. Someone that gets a lot of satisfaction out of solving complex problems and seeing a tangible result from it gets a lot out of SEOs. Someone that has a really, really good eye for detail but is very laterally in thinking will do really well in SEO. So I think it's actually not about what qualifications, because there is none technically. But I think what makes a good SEO is someone that can look at something. I always explain to people, it's like, when you do SEO and you do it well, it's like seeing into the matrix. You kind of like start to see numbers and figures and stuff. And not everyone can do that. Not everyone's brain is wired to be able to look at a data set and make decisions of it. The same way I can't draw. If my job was to draw, I'd be a very, very starving poor man because I cannot draw. I'm not I'm creative, but I'm more technically minded than I am creative. So some people are wired to do some way, some wired the others. Like I think if you're the kind of person that draws a lot of satisfaction from like finding elegant solutions that other people can't find, SEO is like one of the best jobs for that. Can SEO be a career? Yes. Is SEO worth learning? I think so. How do you charge for SEO? That's an interesting question. All right, so how do you charge for SEO? Good question. I think there's plenty of different ways people charge for SEO. So for us at the agency here, we charge a fixed period. So like, for instance, I look at a campaign and go, I think this is going to take roughly 12 months to get to the first positions that will like to generate X amount of inquiries. So we will front load a charge as a monthly retainer for those 12 months, and then we'll significantly drop the cost of the retainer after that 12 months, because the best way to explain SEO, if you do it right, is it's like a ship, a rocket ship going into orbit. You know, you put fuel in it, you put a heap of fuel in it to get it into orbit, but once it's in orbit, you only need a tiny amount of fuel to keep it in orbit. And that's what SEO is like when it's done properly. So we charge, like, for instance, we'll charge like $1,700 a month for 12 months, and then drop that down to like $500 a month. To, you know, that's just picking two numbers, but that's the kind of thing that we do. I know other agencies won't, they'll just charge less over a longer period. So they might charge $1,000 forever. Or some people will charge like $800 and outsource it all. There's so many models, but that's how we work. Why is SEO important in 2020? Another good question. Why is SEO important in 2020? Well, because it is. You know, like, actually, let's Google how many searches are done a day on Google. How many searches on Google a day? So there's 3.5 billion searches done daily on Google. Growth. So let's see how much that's grown over the last year. Last year's yearly growth. There we go. That doesn't really answer. Okay, let's see what the top 10 statistics are. All right, so we got 3.5 billion searches. I'd love to know. Okay, here we go. So let's talk about how Google's search per year has progressed. In 1998, Google was processing over 10,000 search queries a day. In comparison, by the end of 2006, the same amount of searches would be processed by Google in a single second. So in less than a decade, Google went from barely known to an integral part of life all around the world. Google's searches growth rate expanded significantly in the first decade of 21st century. So I think that answers your question. Like the growth of search is exponential, because more and more people are trusting the information that comes out of it. As it gets better at doing searches, serving up answers to questions, Google gets more and more people using it because they just trust it. So I would say it's important in 2020. It'll be important in 2021. It'll be important in 2025. It just, depends on what you're trying to achieve with it, I suppose. Is SEO better than AdWords? Depends on your situation. If you need leads, if you're a business and you need inquiries straight away, then it's SEO. AdWords is 10 times better than Google SEO ever will be. But if you want a long-term consistent flow of leads that reduce in cost per acquisition over time, then SEO is better. How can I be an SEO? Answered that. How do I become a Google SEO certified? Is that even a thing? No. So like you can become Google AdWords certified, but you cannot become Google SEO certified. It's something that you see all the time. I'm going to type this in, and I'm going to type in scam. Not real. Yeah, there's no Google SEO certified technique. It's just not a thing. So if you see someone on their website and they say they're Google SEO certified, run for the hills, because they're just either they don't know what they're talking about, or they're trying to scam you out of money. So that's a thing. What is an SEO expert? Yeah, so that hasn't changed anytime soon. But yeah, let's. I'm just going to do a few other questions, guys. Pop your questions in. The eBay one was really interesting. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Let's type in TikTok algorithm, how to rank in TikTok. I know all the kids are talking about this these days, and oh, here we go. So there's even a picture of the algorithm. How's that? Oh, that's a video. I don't want to have to click on a video because it probably won't work. So let's go to image search. Looks like that was it. Okay, so how the TikTok algorithm works. Because effectively TikTok is a search engine just like Google is. It may not operate the same principle, but it still is, right? So let's have a look at that. And if you guys want me to, in another video in the future, go into more depth into some of these other algorithms, just let me know and I'll cover them off. I always like learning about new technology. So users spend 46 minutes a day on TikTok daily, but the question is, how can you get your videos to catch the audience's attention during that time? While there's no magic recipe, coming to grips with the TikTok algorithm can help you work with it and improve your odds of success. That's a really odd place to put an italic. It's like help you work with it. Anyway, so what are you waiting for? Let's explore the various ranking factors at play and how you can leverage them to get your content to rank to the 6th largest global social network. That's like saying you're like the, you're like the 3rd runner-up. It's like, why would you say one of the content to rank on one of the largest global social networks? Anyway, how it works. For a long time, I made mum about how to rank content. Fortunately, TikTok has lifted the veil, and there's a link. Here we go. Let's get it from the source. So this is how TikTok recommends you. So what factors contribute to you ranking on TikTok? User interactions. So recommendations are based on a number of factors. These things include user interactions, such as videos like you like or share, accounts you follow. That's interesting. Accounts you follow, comments you post, and content you create. Video information, which might include details like captions, sounds, and hashtags. Okay. Device and account settings. These factors include make sure the system is optimized for performance. Okay, that really didn't help us, that article. Let's get out of there. User interaction. So much like Instagram's algorithm, the TikTok algorithm serves users posts they engage with. If there's specific content they interact with a lot, they are more likely to see the content from them. It's the same with videos they tend to like and share most often. The strongest ranking factor indicator in this category, however, is video completion rate. So that's a little bit like YouTube. This means if a user watches the video in full, geez, with millennial, like the demographic that watches TikTok videos, it's hard to get them to watch a 10-second video, let alone the whole bloody thing. It's more likely to be pushed for further distribution to other feeds than one viewer scrolled past or watched for a second or two. For creators or businesses, this means making videos that hold viewers' attention till the end is the key to making it to your For You page, TikTok's version of Instagram's Explore page. It's interesting. Again, the algorithm is more likely, let's zoom in a bit so you can all read this. Video information. Again, why didn't that come up? Oh, there it is, there we go. Again, the algorithm is more likely to push content that the user explores. So for instance, if a user often searches for a particular hashtag or enjoys content with a specific soundbite, they're more likely to see videos with the same hashtag and sound. This explains why you see more of the Nana challenge videos for your page. If you've watched some videos with the hashtag recently, you're obsessed with them like I am. Account and device settings. Lastly, users' location, language preferences, and device type play a role as these optimize for watching experience. However, they don't have as much weight as other ranking systems. In other words, TikTok will allow you to reach a global audience, but it's going to show users video created by people in their area. That's interesting. That's the same stuff. TikTok it doesn't explicit. So okay, so these are some tips for ranking. So this is some tips for hacker man in the TikTok algorithms. Create short 15-second long videos. I think, isn't that what TikTok does? Anyway, TikTok lets you create 15 to 60-second videos. Okay. However, you're more likely to get your audience to watch bite-sized engaging videos for longer or fully crossed in full than minute-long ones. So that's interesting. So they say make shorter videos so that you get the completion rate in the video. Yeah, cool. Naturally, this boosts your video's completion rate, the strongest TikTok algorithm ranking factor. Create video content that engages viewers from the start. So work on your video's opening. Unnecessarily long intros are a buzzkill. So introduce your hook into your video within 3 seconds so your video doesn't yawn and scroll past. One good way to trim the fluff off your opening is cut the beginning section of every intro you shoot until you get to the right hook. And we've got an example here. That's actually a really clever video. So like you can, I mean, I can see why people like TikTok, but yeah, it's yeah, it feels like, you know, anyway, that was I can see what they're saying there is like the hook, you may, if you're not a marketer, you may not have noticed the hook in that, but it's a very subtle hook to hook people to engage with the whole thing. Basically, let me show you where the hook was. That's the hook there. It's very subtle, but that hook, him looking down and into the bag is actually the hook because you actually want to see what's in the bag. And then the hook, this hook, then the content drives the rest of the engagement. So very, very subtle hook, but that's an interesting use of a hook. Add engaging caption. TikTok beats tweets in writing short captions. One thing is for sure though, you need to be compelling despite having a 150 character limit, including any hashtags. An engaging caption can go a long way in encouraging your audience to watch a video even to the end. How? Stir curiosity by saying something along the lines, you've got to watch this to the end, or look at X attempts to get the end right. Question-based captions will help as well. These encourage viewers to leave comments in your content, another engagement ranking factor to play along with. So we've got an example here. How many did you guess correctly? Yeah. Oh, I don't like this guy, but anyway. Okay, so he's basically asking a question to try and generate engagement, and people go, "Oh, actually, I wanted to be in a position to give my opinion, so I'll watch the whole thing." Pay attention to each video you create. So all videos, respective of the creator's follower count, to a set of potentially interested users. So you don't have to build an audience first as is normal these days. You get video view seconds. Put it another way, thank God, because that was terrible to read. So long as your content is good, it'll pick up steam in the algorithm. So don't lose heart if a couple of your initial videos haven't done well on TikTok. Chances are you'll end up creating a video the audience loves. Create high quality videos that are well edited. Okay, that's probably to get full engagement. Post when the audience is active and most engaged. So while this is obvious for most social platforms, it's particularly important for TikTok. Active user engagement with your content tells the recommendation system to push your video. Get a TikTok Pro account, it's free, to fetch data on your followers' most active times under the follower activity in the followers tab. Post when your analytics show your followers are the most likely to be online. Didn't even know there was such thing as a Pro account. There you go. Oh, this is a Hootsuite. I didn't even realize I was reading a Hootsuite article, but that's a Hootsuite attachment, I think. Engage with other TikTokers. Okay, sure. You know, that's pretty standard stuff. Use the correct hashtags. 2 types of hashtags that will help you grow on your TikTok. This includes for your page, for you page, and then, yeah, so there's 2 types. For you page and trending hashtags. Okay, so the trending hashtags, when someone starts trending, more and more people flock towards it, and if you truly create awesome videos for your trending hashtags, you'll likely attract a sizable part of the crowd to your content. Go look up trending hashtags on the Discover tab of your account and add your creative twist to the hashtag. Here's Jade Dharma Wagsner doing the same Vogue challenge. Join hashtag challenges. Didn't even know that was a thing. So over at TikTok, hashtag challenges are all the rage. In fact, they have come up with a good way to get new ideas for content. People enjoy consuming videos made for hashtag challenges, keeping an eye out for those who add a unique creative spin to the challenge. Others who plan to create videos for this challenge view videos under the tag. Okay, so what it's saying there is that create a challenge and then you'll get the engagement because people will want to investigate the challenge and see if they're winning. That's actually quite a clever way to get engagement. So like if you create a challenge and it starts a trend, then you'll get a bit of the flywheel effect, as it's called in marketing, because other people will be looking at the challenge to determine whether they want to create a video for it. Cool. Use trending sounds and music in your videos. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. I think that's all TikTok is really. Now the question is, how can you tell if your sound or song is trending today? TikTok Pro account. Again, we're selling what we do. Make sure people interact with the content. Okay. If you didn't already know, here's something really smart about TikTok. It makes downloading videos and cross-promoting them on other platforms a piece of cake. Enabling your download option lets people share your content on other social channels. You'd be surprised the number of TikTokers that I've followed that I've discovered on Twitter. What's more, keep your duet option open. Duets are videos that TikTok users create alongside other creators' original videos, like this. So thanks so much for your advice. You are a lifesaver. Okay. That's all. Hey, that's actually, I'm going to do that. That's quite clever. Oh, there you go. Well, maybe I might have to download TikTok again. If your video is exceptional, people play along with creating duets, you can get a bump in the chances you're going to get noticed on TikTok. Want more people to duet with you? Considering adding duet with me hashtag in your caption. Ultimately, there's no way to hack the algorithm, but by using these tips above, you can create quality content that resonates with your audience. And then we got an ad to try and sell what we do. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I haven't given TikTok much thought because I still haven't really seen the business case for TikTok, as in what a business can do, like let's say this agency can do to generate it. But if my consumer demographic was quite young, you've got to be there. You've got to be where the market is. And, it's probably, I'm going to close on this, but there's probably a lot of businesses out there that are like, I don't want to be on TikTok because I don't like it. Well, sorry, mate. Or because you don't like it doesn't mean your demographic doesn't like it. And you've got to be where your demographic is. At the moment, TikTok is one of the cheapest acquisition of eyeballs in the market right now. And if your demographic is under the age of 25, or even, I mean, there's bloody people from all ages in there, but like, let's say 25, then I'm sorry, you have to be in TikTok. It's where the eyeballs are. Gary Vee talks about this all the time. It's like, you've got to be where the eyeballs are and where the cheap eyeballs are. And if the cheap eyeballs are TikTok or Rick Rock or whatever comes out in the future, you've got to be in front of those eyeballs. And it doesn't matter, I get this a lot when I talk about YouTube ads and things like that. They're like, oh, I'm a local plumber. Why do I need YouTube ads? I'm like, well, it's the second largest search engine on the planet. And you can target your demographic with it. So why wouldn't you create a video and put it on YouTube if, your target demographic is, people that own houses, and a lot of those people that own houses also have disposable income. So they've got toys like boats and cars and stuff, and they're on YouTube doing searches for how to fix this boat or how to find this or how to repair this. And then you're front of mind when their tap leaks or something because they've been watching your ad and they're local and it resonates with them. Why wouldn't you run ads where the eyeballs are? So never discount it. Even as an SEO, it's a really bad trend in SEO where SEOs are like, oh, I don't need to learn anything else because I'm an SEO. It's like, actually, you're a marketer. You should learn about all marketing concepts and then just put them in your flavor, your preference and your pet preference might be SEO, but don't discount TikTok and all these others because you don't like it. It doesn't mean your demographic, it doesn't mean you won't get a business you need to work with that it's a perfect platform for them. So if you don't have an understanding of it, you can't put your hand on your heart and say that you're helping businesses because you can't turn around and offer them the best advice and what will generate them the most return on their money. So I think, yeah, it's definitely something to think about. There's a lot of marketers out there that just write off platforms because it's not something they would use. But like, let's be honest, you're not the target demographic of TikTok. I'm not, but if I was selling clothing range to a set of 25-year-olds, you better believe I would be sponsoring TikTokers, influencers on there. I would be getting in front of those eyeballs. So anyway, I think that's it for today. We've covered a few different parts. Let's just turn my share off for a sec. We've covered a bit of ground today, probably more than we normally do, but it's been good. It's been good to look at other platforms that aren't SEO because, look, I get a little bit bored of talking about SEO all the time, to be honest, because I do it all day. So it's nice to look at TikTok. And if someone found the value in looking at TikTok and some of these other platforms, we can look at more traditional channels like Instagram or Facebook. Let's learn together. I'm not super familiar with a lot of these platforms. I love learning about new stuff. And, if I can learn about TikTok and why people use it, then, it's important in my professional opinion to know that stuff. So, thank you for watching. And any questions, as always, just leave them in the comments. I'll answer them next week, or just ping me on Messenger or whatever. Thanks, guys, and have a fantastic